From an undisclosed location, for reasons of security and insecurity, we present to you tonight MnR live TV show, and tonight's guests, Rosemary, Guiley, the Djinn connection. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about with Rosemary, Guiley, is what are the hidden links between the Djinn, shadow people, ETs, Nephilims, Archons, reptilians, and other type of entities. She'll be coming on at 8:15, and she's also been on Coast to Coast many times. Anyhow, without further ado, I introduce to you the one and the only, the coffee man himself, also known as the Madman Mario. Cheers, buddy.
All right, Rob. It's good to be back on. I've been waiting all week for this because there's been so much things that have happened throughout the week. You know what I'm saying? You know it's good.
And tonight we're going to be having a big guest, Rosemary, Guiley.
Yes, and she's going to be coming on in exactly around 8:15ish. So you're going to have to wait for our guest. But in the meantime, we're going to be talking about what happened during the week and the news, our style, our version of it, what we know, what the media doesn't want you to know, and what the media is hiding.
And this show's been brought to you by the Montreal Anti-Illuminati Task Force, which we're part of. So go ahead, do your thing.
All right, so now this is me. This is who you've been waiting for, next to Robert, of course, you know, because it takes both of us to get this show in motion.
Motion, yes.
So this is it. Now I'm going to be switching out to the share screen so that you can see what we're sharing, like, because that's what's way more important than seeing me. But it's good to hear me, and it's great to see Robert, and we mix it all together like a big salad.
Like
you know?
a big pasta. And
we toss the salad, and we can have all kinds. We can have Italian dressing, but no, we're not.
Dressing.
Balsamic, but you know what?
Anyhow, we're not here. We're not a cooking show here.
No, we're not. Now we're going to go right in and get the news. So here I am, and here I'm out. So don't go anywhere because we're going to commence. Right? We are going to commence
in a few moments, and at 8:15 we'll be having our guest coming on. All right.
All right, so now here he is.
Suspected Paris shooter live with underwear bomber in Yemen. Charlie Hebdo attackers now linked to multiple U.S.-run terrorists. And
this is from Infowars.com,
and there's the guy in the middle. I think he's dead. Well, they're all dead. When you think of it, they're all dead, but the one in the middle is one of the leaders of Al-Qaeda. Anyhow, getting back to the article, a veteran journalist of Yemen revealed Sunday that one of the suspected Charles Hebdo shooters briefly lived with now convicted underwear bomber Omar Farouk Abdulmatulab Alab during an extended visit to the country in 2009. Oh, wow, so of course they knew each other.
Yeah, this goes back, the roots go back, way back then when, you know?
Did you know that today they said Al-Qaeda is taking credit for what happened? So it's not ISIS as we thought. But they're all linked anyhow.
Who's financing them? Now that's a big question.
The Illuminati, who else would be financing them?
The banks, the banksters, right?
Yes.
They're the ones. Well, you know the history. All you have to do is just Google the history, and it's there. Oh, Rob, you know what? I totally forgot because here we are. We want to jump right into the news. I totally forgot. I was saying, but there's something missing today. It's not normal that It's really not.
There's two things missing. Well, yeah.
Bigly missing. How could I forget?
The blog, the pictures.
Yes, it's true. You see,
but now you cut off the thing, so it's bad.
No, it's okay. We'll get back to it. So this is our blog. I mean, we'll get back to it. It happens, This is our guest, what it's all about, It's true, because, you know, for the new people, there are always new people. If you don't see this, you just gotta click refresh, bang, right here, and you'll see this, and you just click here, play, and you'll see us live, or when it's recorded, and there's Chatango, right? And on the side, of course, there's all the past shows.
The past shows, and we've got the Chatango, which people can stalk, and there's our guest tonight. So
yes, now we're going to go into the pictures, the famous pictures of the week.
I hope you find the dinner acceptable, my queen. Our new chef is quite accomplished. I certainly hope so. Your previous chef unfortunately proved to be far more appetizing than the meals he prepared.
Yeah, so that's the queen, and this one, did you know?
Did you know? In 1871, the U.S. Treasury went bankrupt as a result of the Civil Wars. It sought help from the global financiers such as the Rothschilds of London. Global bankers were eager to buy. Yes, for sure, and of course the global bankers are still around. The financiers are still around who create war, debt, depressions, and so much and so forth of much of the chaos of today.
But now you know. You see, now that's why we put this.
Yeah.
The next one's about slavery.
Slavery was never abolished. It was extended to include everyone but the ruling elite. Anonymous awakening.
We're slaves, everybody. Well, I know I am. I don't know about everybody else, but we're slaves. Unless if you're an elite. But elites aren't watching this show, right, Rob?
No.
Next.
Maybe they are. They've got their lackeys doing it. Russian President Putin signs GMO labeling liability law. The bill imposes fines up to $5,300 for vague or unclear labeling on foods containing GMO. The government will not poison their citizens. This seems to be making more sense than the governments we have here.
Yeah, but they're saying, a lot of people are saying not to trust this, so I don't know what to make of this.
Trust what?
Of him doing this. Putin doing this.
Yeah, well, you see, even if there is somebody that's actually out there fighting the NWO and it's such a high power, they'll still say don't trust. Whether he could be trusted or not, they'll still say it. So time will tell.
Yeah. Breaking news.
We have unconfirmed report by anonymous sources that the corporate owner's mainstream media is full of it. Now let's bring our paid contributor to give this useless speculation on the current story to fill in some air before the next hard break. Perhaps they can explain how full of it we are in 2 minutes or less, as they used to be somebody who knew somebody that worked for somebody close to the story. Okay. Nice one. Yeah, exactly. It's good.
I like this one. This one got a lot of hits.
The most free person in the world is the one who has nothing to hide.
That's us. And the ones watching, they have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide, right?
That's right. That's what we're
criminals. We're honest people.
Yeah, exactly.
Back to Monsanto.
Good, Monsanto, good. And look at those strawberries.
And look who's staying.
Look how big they are, monsters.
I know, people like
look
that.
At strawberries for the giants. I see them eating them.
The Nephilims would like that. Maybe that's what they're working on. Maybe they want to bring them back.
And if they do bring them back, they'll need food. Anyhow, don't just teach your children to read, teach them to question what they read. Teach them to question everything. George Carlin. Wise man.
You see, the thing is that's what we're doing here on this show. We're questioning all what we hear, all what we see, all what we read. That's what we're doing on the MnRTV live show. You know, it's like there's just so much information. This one got a lot of hits, likes, I should say, on both conspiracy talks. Now this one.
Thank you, Paris.
Now I want everybody to Google this, because this, I believe, is Prince Edward. I believe it is.
And you know, I know exactly what you're gonna say, because he has a scandal going on, a pedophile scandal, and there's rumors, and it could be true that apparently they did all this false flag to take away from this scandal that's going on.
Exactly, Rob. You just took the words right straight out of my mouth. That's why.
Imagine we start like talking about doing a campaign against this guy, and it gets back into the news, but we don't want to do that because they'll probably do another false flag after.
Yeah, it's enough people have died. Well, according to what we've seen, but we're going to get into that in more details with the news, with what happened there. So here, the next one.
I am not Hitler. I am not a dictator. Adolf Hitler, 1936. I am not a dictator. Fidel Castro, 1959. I am not a dictator. Barack Hussein Obama, March 1st, 2013.
So there you go. You see, they're good liars. That's what politicians do. They like to lie.
But you see, isn't next year, at the end of next year, that there's going to be another election, and it'll probably be somebody like somebody of the Bush family, the Clinton family is going to be running.
They always recycle their.
Yeah, it'll be Hillary Clinton against Jeb Bush. Well, we'll see.
The next one.
Guess who loves you so much that I'm willing to speak a truth that may make me sound crazy, lose friends, and sound unpopular, but I don't mind because Jesus said that would happen, and it's darn true. That's what's happening now, whenever we speak.
Yeah, or even this show, Rob. If we mention his name, everybody turns away and goes their other way because they don't like hearing that, you know?
No, I know that. That's for sure they don't.
But we still gotta say it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now, this, Rob, this is for you. This picture has been going viral. Exceedingly viral.
Ceux qui ont commis ces actes, ces terroristes, ces illuminés, ces fanatiques n'ont rien à voir avec la religion musulmane. Vendredi, le 9 janvier 2015, those who have committed the actions, those terrorists, those Illuminati, those fanatics have nothing to do with Islam. Well, he says these illuminated, enlightened ones. So it says, I wonder if he actually means Illuminati or if he means something, because I heard that he is part of the Illuminati, but whatever, but he's actually giving them in plain sight a message for the whole world to know, these Illuminati.
I was told that this whole translation's bad. It's not good. That it means Illuminati means something else. It doesn't mean Illuminati. But I don't know, man. It's like how much more.
The thing is, if you look in the book, the Illuminati means the illuminated ones. The word Illuminati means they call themselves the Illuminati, which means translates to the illuminated ones. And him, he says the illuminate, but if you were Illuminati, that's what they wanted. They wanted like him to say the exact words. This is close as it is, because if you were to say these Illuminati, that would have been too obvious. Or these Illuminati, people would say, what the hell is going on? But by him saying it like this way, it gives like it's hidden in plain sight for people to see.
Anyways, there is a video of him saying it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, it's like a minute or so video.
You can be the judge of this, people. And this, I am the 2% that has a clue about what's happening and why. That's right. All the viewers watching this, we are the 2%. Right, Rob?
That's right.
It used to be 1%. Now maybe it went up to 2% because you know what? People are waking up.
Because of shows like ours and many other great shows that we watch also.
No, wait a minute. This is wrong. Aren't we the 99%? No. I don't know.
I am the 2% that has a clue about what's happening and why. Yeah, but 99% don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's true. You see, thank you, Rob. You woke me up. You see, now I feel better because I was saying, what the hell is this? So, yeah, we're the 2%. I'm not that there today, but it's okay. I'm just warming up. So, yeah, we are the 2%. Okay, the last one, the last picture that was very popular.
The real threat to your freedom is not from men hiding in caves in the Middle East wearing turbans. It's from the men wearing suits and ties in Washington, D.C. Les Illuminés, like they would say, as the French president would say.
So that's it with the pictures. That was very interesting. I'm glad we did this, and this is all found on the MnR Productions. Well, it's MnR Productions Mariolaur.blogspot.ca. All right, the next thing before we go back to the news, it's the the Conspiracy Talk group
on Facebook, which is one of the fastest growing groups around. There's like 27 new members just today or yesterday, today I believe, and it's going great. And there's, you can see the blog that I posted up, the pinned post, either the blog or when the show's recorded.
Yeah, so that's it. You can join, be nice on it, be civilized, don't troll, and don't spam, and everything will be okay. And let's all work together on this because we're all on the same team, right?
We're on the same boat.
And also we have the same thing on the Conspiracy Talk, also on Google Plus, which is also going crazy, and everybody is on it and enjoying being on it. Any comments about this, Rob?
No comment at this time.
Okay, so now let's go back to where we were with the Alex Jones.
French terror suspects, Pentagon connection, and this lady's from InfoWars. In 2012, the FBI would confess they had detained al-Awlaki in 2002 for his association with Al-Qaeda, but quickly let him go for undisclosed reasons. Okay, and it just goes on to talk that there's an officer that joined the Alex Jones show to confirm InfoWars that al-Awlaki has in fact been a known FBI asset prior to 9/11.
Anyhow, I mean, this is just to say that this is not new stuff. They've been going on at it for quite a while, right?
Yeah, with the Kouachi brothers that did the attacks last week.
Now we're going to be going in something more in depth that I found today, but it's not new stuff. This was apparently from January 7th.
Charlie Magazine murders reveal evidence of deliberating staging. Paris double siege ends in suspects' deaths, new anti-Semitic and al-Awlaki narratives. A manhunt is underway after 12 people are said to have been shot dead at the headquarters of French satirical Charlie Hebdo. But is there more to the story? I'm sure there is. Because, you know, France said that this is their 9/11.
Yeah.
Planned attack. We're told that the main office of the Charlie Hebdo was attacked within 2 hours after they posted an image depicting so-called ISIS chief actor Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi with the message "Best wishes." The BBC and other big media outlets were quickly to capitalize on Charlie Hebdo's uncanny tweet, conjuring the fear-based propaganda surrounding the new terror brand. Here's the Charlie Hebdo tweet that said to have contributed to the shooting attack. And here we see it right there. That's him, right? The leader of ISIS.
Looks like.
Yeah, it is. I've seen pictures of him.
I mean, this is just digging into older stuff here.
The image of al-Baghdadi was tweeted just 2 hours before the attack at Charles Hebdo. The sweet Charlie was trending. How would Charlie Hebdo and other media would have a marketing plan within an hour or so of the shooting? That's what I told people. That's what I freaking told people last week. And even even on this show, I said, how did they get to publish all the sweet Charlie? Like it's so fast. I know we can answer this. Oh, printing is fast. I've heard of printing is fast, but come on, it's like within hours. Like people have nothing to think of. Like even in France, there's a terror attack, shootings, and people are going off to publish to see Charlie already. Very odd.
Nothing makes sense about this thing.
Sometimes I think we are really living in 1984. For sure. There it is.
Yeah, this famous sign, "Just Sweet Charlie."
Yeah, okay, but like they had like everywhere after, like posters and everything. How the heck did they get to make it so fast?
They were ready for this.
So that means it was planned.
Speaking of planned, look at the map. This is all where it happened. The abandoned bar.
Yeah, the gunman exchange, the gunman Charles Hebdo office. And that was only part of the attack. After that, there was when they got attacked in the a kosher deli.
I don't know, man. This whole story. Look, where's everybody? What? There's only 2 people in a busy street during the week.
Yeah, the 2 brothers. Yeah, the 2 brothers. And afterwards, after they did their shooting, they were saying They were screaming all kinds of stuff in the streets, and they were taking their time. But there was 4 people killed after in the Delhi.
Yeah, well, that's what we all know. That's what they keep saying.
And then, yeah, and they're still looking for one female terrorist also, Hayat Boumediene, and she's rumored to now be in Syria in an ISIS-controlled city.
And they're just protecting her because, you know.
Exactly.
Now, I don't know if there's anything else that's good here.
I haven't seen it, but you know, people, don't forget the links will be up to the show. Every link that we talk about will be up after the description on the YouTube video that we do, so people will be able to see this more in depth if they wish to do so.
And also the time of when we get the guest on, that will also appear. And then you could leave comments to what you're seeing and what you like and what you don't like, and you know.
Exactly.
No, look at this one in 2011. You see that?
Drill being conducted prior to the summit. Yeah, they take the terror drills. States of
get themselves ready.
Yeah, I see it.
And there's the people. Look at that. They shot the cop. There's something I'm gonna post up about that. I'm just like going down to see if there's anything that's good here, but it looks like there's nothing much. I mean,
no. Yeah, looking into the child connection to Canada. CSIS has been working on an anti-terror bill prior to the shooting in October. They seem to set the stage for more artificial jihad.
Anyways, I guess I'm going to go to the next one because time is running kind of short, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now this one I like here. Did you see this? Did anybody ever see this?
No. After 12 murders, yeah. How is he taking? How do they know? Is he actually taking a picture, or is he just like texting to somebody what's going on?
Or where's the blood? He has no blood. Me, I'd be dead if I get.
No, policeman takes selfies after 12 murders. He wasn't murdered. Apparently, he was taking a picture of himself while people were being murdered.
But why though? Why was he taking a picture?
We don't know if he's taking a selfie, if he's actually texting someone.
Why
is he just caught lying around the ground? Who thinks the Paris shooting wasn't staged might think differently after seeing this video. Why are the government so blatant? There's another agenda. The Illuminati are taunting us, boasting that they can make us believe anything. They don't discover reality. They invent it. They have deceived and enslaved us psychologically, and they are gloating. Right there.
Anyways, I found that very weird. I mean, I thought he was supposed to have been shot, Rob.
Exactly.
That's the one that we seen in the picture, no?
No, it's not the same one.
It's not?
No. No. If you go back, you'd see that it's not the same one, but this is just another cop. Apparently he's taking selfies of himself instead of like trying to help out during the attack.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the quick one. This is a quick one, just the title. You see what's happening?
New anti-terrorism legislation threat to civil liberties. Yeah, you heard that anybody that talks bad against that does terrorist threats, that's anti-Semitic or for terrorism. They locked up. They found 54 people today that were talking bad about, that were being anti-Semites or pro-terrorism or also trying to do jihad.
There's no freedom. There's no freedom in this world. That's the whole
freedom of speech. But that's what apparently Charles Hebdo was doing. These cartoons, not cartoons, but these caricatures. So because of freedom of speech. So this got me thinking that they just want to do this for take up more of the freedoms of people.
Well, they want to bring in a police state, and they also want to bring in
a new world order.
Martial law, you see?
Yeah, France in full-on martial law. 10,000 troops mobilizing for deploying into streets in wakes of shooting. Yeah, well, it's understandable that they have cops everywhere.
Well, it's like, you know,
Like
honestly.
Like a scenario out of Nazi Germany, French Defense Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian announced Tuesday that 10,000 army troops will be deployed into the streets to secure sensitive points in wake of the recent shooting attacks, which left 17 dead.
No, that's like, you know, that's what happens. It's sad because there's no freedom. The freedom just goes.
Yeah, it sure does. It's just gone.
Now this one I love. This is something that, you know, look at the triangle and notice in the media they always showed the ground level. So like there you think it's a big crowd, but it was no big crowd. It was just them.
Yeah, Je suis un modèle. World leaders photo op at the Paris was staged. TV shots and stills from the rally on Sunday made it appear that world leaders were part of the Millions March, but a different outlook here in above photography. Above picture exposes the illusion of close-up photography. Yeah, when you do it like that, it looks like there's so many. And
Oh,
if you
that's
go
like
back
when I
up,
saw that.
yeah, that's very good. And if you go back up, you'll see how many people there actually was.
Well, look, you see, there's a
Yeah, go back
triangle.
up.
They actually make it funny that they make a triangle, eh?
Well, yeah, the triangle, of course, Simon of the Illuminati. Fabricated. A lot of stuff when you live in the Matrix. Want a copy of Charles Hebdo's latest issue in the U.S.? Good luck, find one.
No, Rob, you know what? I was watching the news this evening, I should say, more this evening than this afternoon, and it was like Boxing Day for France. They were going crazy looking for this magazine. It's their Boxing Day officially, trying to find this magazine.
Well, what's good? Well, yeah. Why? What did they print 3 million copies and they make a lot of money from this?
And you know what's funny? Before this incident, the magazine was going down. Nobody was buying it. So now they're back in business.
I've seen Charlie Hebdo in magazines. Like, I used to see it all the time, like, when I go to a magazine downtown, and I would never, like, look at it, you know. I said, okay, whatever. Only two Charlie.
But you know what I want to know, Rob?
Yeah.
I wonder if we're getting millions of views. I wonder if we'd be getting even more millions of views if something like this were to happen to us. But I won't suggest that it will happen to us.
No.
Anyways, that's it for Charlie Hebdo. We gave our thing. I still think it was all fake and fixed, and who knows what happened. They're good at fixing things and like making things look fake. Anyhow, then now let's get back to the news, right?
Because we got in 10 minutes, in 15 minutes, our guest comes on. This is the most powerful natural antibiotics ever. Kills any infections in the body.
Isn't this great? Could you see it, or shall I make it bigger?
No, I see it.
There we go. Even if you say no, you see it, I still make it bigger.
The basic formula for the all-powerful tonic dates back to medieval Europe. This is the era when people suffered from all sorts of diseases and epidemics. The master cleansing toxic is actually an antibiotic that kills gram-positive, gram-negative bacteria. It also has a powerful antiviral, antifungal formula, increases blood circulation and lymph flow in all parts of the body. The plant remedy is the best choice to fight against candida.
No, that doesn't look appetizing, does it, Rob? I hope it looks better tasty.
Do we have to eat this thing?
If I guess so.
I don't know. Oh boy, I'd rather take a pill from that. It doesn't look too appetizing.
No, me neither. I feel like going to the washroom now.
No, not now. I hope not. Because, but who knows? Maybe if this thing actually works, sometimes you get a little pain.
And here's a recipe. You can get it, try it, and do it. For all you people out there that want to live a life without taking antibiotics and all that.
Exactly.
There's always answers there, and that's why you come to our show, to look at this,
Exactly.
so that you know. But it's okay because you know what? Me, I like garlic, so I could eat garlic all the
Oh,
time
I
and
love
onions.
garlic. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Garlic is wonderful. Chili peppers, apple cider vinegar. I hear a lot
All these
about.
things, all
I
these
heard a
things
lot
are
about.
all good for you.
Yeah, my mentor talks a lot about it, about all these things that he uses, and he's 85, 86 years old. He's probably in better health than most people are.
Hmm. Well, I mean, you got to, you know, I mean, if there's alternatives out there, why not take the alternatives?
Oh yeah,
Because that makes you a lot better and and you know, you live better, healthier, and they don't want us living better and healthier. Speaking of living healthier and better,
elderly man with terminal cancer walks out of hospice after treatment with cannabis oil. Well, good for him. That's wonderful. After 9 months of taking 2 different capsules of cannabis oil, a cannabis capsule infused with organic.
why does it do this to me? Hold on. Why does it have to do this? I hate these things.
Okay. The oil around an hour before bed, Dad was given the life-changing reports, no evidence of recurring diseases. Was that wonderful? He took that and no problem.
Yeah, it saved him. You see, and everybody says cannabis isn't good for us, but cannabis is way better than the meds that we're taking right now. All those meds, what are they putting in there? You know? That's the whole point.
Toxins and stuff to kill us. Because don't forget, big pharma is a trillion-dollar business.
Look at this. No chemo drugs. Look at that. You see that? There's hope. There's always light at the other end of the tunnel. The meds.
Exactly.
And sticking on that same subject of meds, because it's very important that we discuss this. Here we go.
Look at that. I see a picture of a nice woman with a cat.
I know. But look what it says. Flu-related death reported in
Kenosha. You know what Kenosha is, don't you?
I don't know, Rob. I'm on the night that, you know.
Okay.
So here, woman gets flu vaccine, dies from flu. There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. What does it say? All I see is a Facebook like.
I know. It's like always Facebook.
Wisconsin healthcare worker, I guess. Catherine McQuestion received her flu vaccine in Israel and later died from the flu. According to WSIN, McQuestion's mother said her daughter had received a flu shot as part of her job as a radiology technician while she worked at St. Catherine's Medical Center in Pleasant Prairie. Kenosha County Health Officer Cynthia Jones shrugged the incident off as a fluke and used this opportunity to urge people to get vaccinated. For the majority of people, they should get vaccinated because this is a very unusual case and it typically doesn't happen. And look what it says, the influenza, the H3N2.
Where you said it, Rob, it's right there. You see that?
What?
Influenza.
Yeah. I see.
All I know is the point of this is don't take the vaccines, right? Don't take the vaccines because we don't know what's in it. Like drugs, we don't know what's in there. They're killers, and stay away from them.
Exactly.
You don't need problems. You don't need trouble. Okay, now we're talking UFOs, and I have a couple of more articles to go through.
Yeah, well, we got like 5 minutes. CIA about UFOs of the 50s and 60s. It was us. What was us?
Flying those UFOs, I guess.
Yeah. The little high-flying U-2 space planes stirred up UFO reports claimed the U.S. the Central Intelligence Agency. Many of the unidentified flying objects spotted by people in the middle of the last century were actually high-flying spy planes, officials, the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency says. Yeah, that I do believe it. And I still believe that some of the UFOs that people see could actually be man-made crafts. It's not all UFOs. It's not all little aliens in it.
No, it's reverse engineering. But the thing is, could we trust the CIA? CIA
Of course not.
are big liars.
How can we trust the CIA when, you know, the CIA is so corrupted?
They're very corrupted, the CIA. They're just liars. They're liars, and they're looking after their own self, and they're working for who? Who are they working for? The globalist elitists, right?
That's the Illuminatis. And the NWO, yeah. So that's it for this thing here, because they have surveillance drones, and these are all like planes that we see now, crafts. But back then, like 50 years ago, was like just high technology for them. They're like, well, what is that, you know? So that's it for this article, I suppose. We have any more?
You're right, Rob. But we got one last one, one very last one. Still UFOs, because you know what's the MnRTV live show without UFOs?
Alien,
right?
yeah, alien UFO cover-up. NASA shuts live stream as gigantic UFO appears near ISS. Blogger claims. There's that word ISS again, eh?
What the heck happened here? Okay, sorry. Yeah.
You see it? UFO hunter Toby Lunt is causing a stir among alien UFO believers with the claim that on January 6, 2015, NASA cut abruptly its live stream after a massive UFO appeared on the live feed. Lunt, who contacted Disclosure.tv, provided a still photo of the alleged UFO to support his claim that NASA attempted to cover up evidence of a massive UFO presence near the International Space Station (ISS) by shutting the live video feed after the UFO appeared on it.
Now there's NASA again, the other one that we can't trust, but we always have to talk about.
NASA stands for never a straight answer.
But they have answers. They just don't want to tell us.
Right. Yeah, so the ISS, a huge UFO appeared and NASA cut the feed. If this was legitimate, they probably said, "Oh my gosh, we gotta cut this off. We can't let the people see this."
Everything is BS, like it says here. BS, bull crap. Everything is. We're all being lied to. But thank you for coming and watch us tell you that, because we need to tell you that everything is bull crap.
Most of everything.
Off here, because we like to analyze everything, and you know it's very important that we analyze this all together, because we're all in this together. Because we're the what, 2%, Rob?
Yeah, oh boy, this was a hoax. So I would have liked to have seen. Have you seen the video of this?
Yeah, I have. It's hard to tell, man. You all gotta be the judge. Yeah, you do.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So I have to be the judge of that. That's for sure.
Yeah. I suggest everybody should look at the video, and you be the judge. Leave a comment and tell us what you think about this.
Exactly. All right. So be the judge of all of this. And look at the tags: aliens, ISS, NASA. I always thought those words: ISS, ISIS, ISIL, Osiris, Horus. I hope people. Don't you see a connection here, folks? Because I sure do.
I wish people would wake up, man. People have to start waking up to this.
I know. For sure.
So shall I call up Trish?
Yeah, so we're going to go on break now. We'll be back. And in about 5 minutes, we're going to get our guest talking about the Djinn connection. We're going to have on Rosemary, Guiley.
So don't go anywhere. Go get yourself a nice cup of coffee or tea and popcorn, but don't go too far because I'm sure you're all going to want to hear what Trish has got to say, right?
All right. So we'll be right back soon.
Here she is.
Djinn or Djinn, singular. Djinn, Djinn or Genie. Arabic, al-Jinn, singular, al-Jinn, are supernatural creatures in Islamic mythology as well as pre-Islamic Arabian mythology. They are mentioned frequently in the Quran. The 72nd surah is titled as Red al-Jinn and other Islamic texts and inhabit an unseen world called Jinnistan, another universe beyond the known universe. The Quran says that the Jinn are made of a smokeless and scorching fire, but are also physical in nature, being able to interact in a tactile manner with people and objects and likewise be acted upon. The Jinn, humans and angels make up the three sacred creations of God. Like human beings, the Jinn can be good, evil, or neutrally benevolent and hence have free will like humans and unlike angels. 2. The Shaitan Jinn are the analog of demons in Christian tradition. But the Jinn are not angels and the Quran draws a clear distinction between the two creations. The Quran states in Surah Al-Kahf, the cave, I-50, 3 that Iblis, Azazel, is one of the Jinn.
Thank you very much, Trish. I mean, Azazel. Thank you for explaining that. Azazel.
Yeah, boy, she read that fast.
I know. She wanted her 5 minutes of fame, and that was it. But
Got her 2 minutes of fame. Yeah, no, exactly. So that'll be something else, you know. Boy. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the Jinns, and it's going to be great to, well, yeah, it's going to be great to see, you know. Welcome to the MnR live TV show. I'm really sorry about this. This rarely happens, something like this. We don't usually have such problems like this. Once in a while, though.
Well, you just got a taste of the Djinn.
Well, the thing is, we used to do shows about the Illuminati and New World Order, and we've had guests on that there's been problems like this. But I guess now that some of the Djinn said, okay, let them do their show.
Well, we finally connected, Robert.
That's wonderful. So now we've got that out of the way. Welcome to the show once again. And tonight we're going to be talking about the Djinn connection and reptilians and a lot more information. So, Rosemary, I know you've written about 60 books, and you're an author researcher for many years. Would you be able to tell us a bit about yourself for my new viewers that are out here?
Yes, I've been working full-time in the paranormal and metaphysical field since 1983. And my work encompasses both the light side and the dark side, because I think it's important to be educated about both. And they are intertwined. So I have a very broad approach. I do paranormal investigation, ghosts and hauntings. I investigate mysterious creatures. I've been involved in ufology for a very long time. And I have studied energy healing, occultism, magical traditions, mysticism, metaphysics, energy healing, and all of these things play a role in the work that I do.
Okay, I see. And yeah, there's just so much information, but we have to stay on topic, you know. I mean, I've done energy healing. That's like Reiki and stuff, right?
It is, and you know, it really aids working in these fields because it teaches you sensitivity to other dimensional realities and to the unseen, and provides very good training for understanding how your own energy field works, how your psychic faculty works, and how to safely open that up and experience and evaluate and then safely close down. So I'm often recommending, especially to paranormal investigators, that they take even just introductory training in energy healing because of the benefits that it provides.
And before we get into the Djinn, I just have one question. This energy healing, where does it come from?
Well, the basis of all energy healing modalities are making use of the universal life force. And the universal life force sustains everything in creation. It is what powers our vitality, our life, the connectedness of all things. And healers learn how to assess how well a body, for example, is using the universal life force. We all have blockages from time to time. And they can clear those blockages and also channel a new vitality, new universal life force to someone who needs more of it. But beyond just healing, when you have that sort of training, it refines consciousness to a different level so that you are attuned to very subtle perceptions of energy. And what we're dealing with in these fields, in the paranormal and metaphysics, we're dealing with energy forms. You know, these beings and presences vibrate at different rates than we do. Some of them have different kinds of physicality that are very different than ours, and some have none. They're just different levels of energy. And so energy healing helps us attune to that, and also to be better able to recognize the different energy signatures of various kinds of entities. It's quite a populated field out there, and very few things are either all good or all bad. There's often a mix of energies involved. And, you know, just very similar to human beings. Human beings aren't all good or all bad. Most of us are a mixture of both, and the same applies to the spirit world. So energy healing really helps us navigate the astral plane and these other realities much better.
Okay, perfect. And as I know, you've written a book with George Norrie a couple of years ago.
Yes, this was an outgrowth of my research in spirit communications, and George has always been interested in that topic and has done quite a bit of his own study as well. The Talking to the Dead is the title of the book, and it really focuses on how we have been developing technology to break the interdimensional barriers for communication. We still have an imperfect world, so to speak. The communication techniques and results aren't proof of these realities. They aren't on-demand reliable, but we've made an awful lot of progress over the decades, and it's a fascinating field with many talented people pursuing research.
All right, so now let's get into the topic, the Djinns. Now, what got you interested in the Djinns?
It was a combination of things, Robert, and of course I was familiar with the Djinn from the Arabian Nights folk tales. I even read some of those when I was a kid. We're all familiar with stories like Aladdin and his magical lamp and genies, which are kind of the watered-down version of Djinn. These are entities who share the planet with us and have had interminglings with us throughout our history. And I became more familiar with them through studying mythology and what Islam had to say about them, and their role in the magical and mystery traditions. But the turning point for me came, I would say about 10 years ago now, when I started studying shadow people, these dark forms that look like human beings. They're often wearing coats and hats, and they usually appear in bedrooms, and they can quite often be very menacing to people. And I wanted to know what they were, because I started getting a lot of accounts of them. And by a process of elimination, they weren't ghosts, they weren't demons, they weren't extraterrestrials. The best I could come up with was they were ultra-terrestrials, unknown entities from other dimensions who were extremely intelligent and very self-directed in terms of their engagements with humans. But when I started thinking of them in terms of Djinn, could they possibly be Djinn? A whole lot of things fell into place. And I came to the conclusion that shadow people are a form manifested, that Djinn manifest in. And that in turn led me into quite a few other directions. I discovered through amassing a huge database of shadow people experiences that there was a big crossover into ET abductions. That many shadow, not all, but many shadow people experiencers were also ET abductees. And so that led me into a line of research. If shadow people are Djinn, then Djinn, by extrapolation, are involved in ET abduction. So I turned to the ET abduction literature and started studying that and found ample evidence for the presence of Djinn. So it was really doing a lot of detective work, which is what paranormal investigation is all about. You know, you get some pieces of data and you start asking questions and follow the leads, and some of them are dead ends and some of them are gold mines. So I've done 2 books on the Djinn, The Vengeful Djinn and the Djinn Connection. I have collected material which will either go into a 3rd book or will be put into overlapping kinds of books. And I've just barely scratched the surface. I think the Djinn have been heavily involved with us throughout history in many ways.
I always thought that Djinns were the genie in the bottles that come out.
Well, they are in a sense, because in all magical traditions around the world, there are techniques for commanding spirits, for summoning and commanding them, and even for imprisoning them in objects, rings, jewelry, bottles, jars. Very common in parts of the Muslim world, for example, when exorcisms are done, that the offending spirits, so to speak, are captured in jars. And so we have these really old, ancient folk tales, loosely known as the Arabian Nights, the Book of 1001 Nights, which were oral stories that preceded Islam. And they talk about the Djinn, which became, through an unfortunate set of mistranslations, they became called genies. You don't find that in all the translations of the Arabian Nights, but the ones that entered popular culture, they became known to the Western world as genies, the genies in the bottle, who would grant wishes if they were liberated. But they were always tricky, kind of unpredictable and unreliable characters. And that's really where they've stayed in Western awareness, whereas much of the rest of the world, especially the Muslim world, is very familiar with the real Djinn, the very powerful entities.
Yes.
And they have had much different awarenesses and interactions with us. And Robert, I'm often asked by people, especially paranormal investigators here in the West, that, well, if you're not Muslim, does that mean that you're not going to have anything to do with the Djinn? This is not something that is limited to culture, race,
or religion,
or a part of the world. The Djinn are everywhere, and they go by many names. So one of the things I wanted to do was bring that awareness, especially into the Western paranormal community, that here are some very heavy players, and they've often been mistaken for other kinds of entities. They can be very difficult to deal with in many cases, and they account for a lot of problem hauntings and spirit attachments that have really defied resolution, because we here in the West haven't really known what we're dealing with.
Exactly. I've been speaking to a lot of Muslim people recently because of what's happened in Paris last week and everything, and we got to the subject of the Djinn, and they're telling me the same thing that you're telling me, that some are good, some are evil.
They're very much like humans in that regard. They have They're benign and enlightened members of their community. They have opportunists. They have bullies, thugs, terrorists, criminals, just like we do. And I think that a lot of our interactions fall on the negative end of the scale. Those are the ones that we're most likely to encounter. I've had it said to me many times by people who are quite knowledgeable about the Djinn from a variety of cultures that the enlightened and benign ones don't choose not to interact with us very often because we're just not of interest to them. And so the ones that feel they have something to gain by manipulating us or using us or bringing harm to us, we're getting kind of a skewed end of the picture. And I've often been asked if they play a role in things like terrorist acts and war and conflict. I believe they do. And I believe all kinds of entities get involved in this because human beings have had a practice throughout history of summoning up help from the spirit world to help them wage conflict against enemies. And that, of course, is a subjective perception. But when we have horrible acts of terrorism, such as occurred in Paris and elsewhere around the world, you know, it doesn't really matter who the victims are. We're all victims.
Yes.
And yes, I think that there are negative entities, including the Djinn, who are involved in these episodes.
And the Djinn, how do they look like? Is there a specific way that they look?
Well, nobody really knows what the true form of the Djinn is. In very ancient Arabian lore, they were said to be made out of the wind, and that's how they ruled the planet. When we find them in the Islamic literature, they were absorbed in the Quran, and the Quran does discuss them. And the Quran states that they were created out of smokeless fire, and the angels out of a pure spiritual light, and then human beings out of earth and water. And this smokeless fire, which in modern terms sort of suggests some sort of maybe plasma kind of energy, it can take any form and any shape. And there have been, I've interviewed people and I've had the opportunity to inquire, well, what is your true form? And they never give a straight answer. It's always kind of a, you know, they want to put a puzzle back on you, like it's like, well, you figure it out. And nobody really knows. They have the ability to appear solid, to take on any shape-shifted form. In ancient lore, it was always said that when they did so, when they appeared as a human or an animal, for example, there was always something inaccurate about that form that would give their true identity away. And this is what I think happens in the shadow people form, because they don't look completely accurately human. They have outlines of humans and quite often rather misshapen heads. So that makes them also very difficult to deal with because of this expertise in shape-shifting. When I have pursued Djinn cases where the Djinn have occupied a building, and I think a lot of them are attached to land, and a house or something goes up on the land, and they occupy that house, and sometimes they don't like buildings and people on their territory. And when I have seen them manifest in shadow people form, which they can be quite formidable, and they can throw off a lot of negative energy. They can disappear in an instant. They can just vaporize. I have seen them turn from a solid-looking form into a cloud of black smoke, into kind of mini tornadoes of what looks like whirling black ink, and disappear through walls, windows, or just into thin air. So they have kind of an upper hand on us in that regard.
Do they come from another dimension?
They are in another dimension, and I think the scenario that explains it the best is that they are dwellers of the earth, just like we are, but they vibrate at a different rate than we do,
Frequency.
and this places them in another dimension. You know, and the model of modern physics is that we have up to about 11 dimensions just in our little patch of the universe related to the Earth, and so they could easily occupy one of these other dimensions and be on the planet just as we are. And we never encounter them, or I shouldn't say we seldom encounter them because of these different vibratory rates. But there are windows between dimensions that open, and the Djinn seem to be adept at finding those windows and being able to use them at will, whereas human beings don't seem to have developed that ability as of yet. We can't seem to direct our consciousness on those levels the way they can. I think this also accounts for a lot of our ET experiences, that many of the craft and the beings that we have encountered over the course of human history are also from other dimensions, not necessarily all of them, but probably the majority of them, and mysterious creatures as well. These entities that look like combinations of animals that people will often see spontaneously, and they also have the ability to disappear rather rapidly. So I think we live on a very interesting planet. It's really a multi-dimensional planet, and as we advance in our own consciousness, we're going to have more and more experiences of these interdimensional dwellers.
What are the connections between the Watchers of the Bible, the Nephilim, and the Djinns?
One can make a very good case for the Watchers being Djinn. And one of the positions that I have in my book, The Djinn Connection, is that we need to take a second look and reevaluate a lot of our ancient experiences. Our stories about our interactions with the gods, with mysterious forces, with alien visitors, and even certain kinds of beings that have been passed off as, for example, fallen angels. One can make a very good case that they were either Djinn or the Djinn were among them. And I talk about the Anunnaki, the archons of Gnosticism, the Watchers, and the Nephilim. Now, when you look at the story of the Watchers, and the Watchers really aren't described, they're not described as angels. Genesis has just a very short description of them, calling them sons of God, and that they are given the role of watching over humanity. And they decide that they want to cohabit with women, and so a certain number of them go AWOL, they desert their posts, and take up with women and cohabit with them and spawn these monstrous creatures called the Nephilim,
Right.
who are very corrupt. They're gigantic, they're corrupt, they turn on each other, there's violence, bloodshed, they consume flesh, and they will even turn on each other in that way, cannibalistic. And the corruption is so bad that that's why God sends the flood. Well, the characteristic of leaving the post and cohabiting with human women would definitely fit a Djinn pattern. The Djinn have had a long interest in human beings, and there have been many legends and stories going back to ancient times about the intermingling of the two races and these kind of hybrid offspring resulting from it that would have the powers of the Djinn with, mixed in with human characteristics. And one of the things that the Watchers do as an exchange for sexual favors is they teach the secret arts to human beings, the forbidden arts. And the Djinn would possess these. They were around before we were. They had access to the heavenly realms. And they are incredibly intelligent and very knowledgeable. So this would have been within the province of the Djinn. And also to act out of free will like this self-determination. and even the offspring, the Nephilim, we can see Djinn characteristics there. You know, these super powerful entities, so that and other ancient alien and visitor stories definitely show Djinn traits in them. So the question is, were we dealing with Djinn all along, just in different guises? Or were the Djinn sort of slyly insinuating themselves into situations in order to take advantage of things, because many of them are opportunists. When I was looking at the ET abduction scenarios, I couldn't make the conclusion that abducting ETs are Djinn, only that there are the footprints of Djinn in the ET abduction scenario. And it could very well be that the Djinn are participating in something that involves other entities as well. They're definitely there. It's just how much are they there? How much do they account for something? Because of their shape-shifting ability and the fact that they can keep themselves very well hidden in camouflage, it makes it difficult to assess. But we've been entwined with powerful entities by our own accounts throughout history. And the question is, who is the Oz behind all of these curtains? It may be the Djinn.
Now, the Nephilim, they died in the flood, right? So then, aren't they what we call demons?
No, I wouldn't call them demons because, well, the definition of demon gets to be very problematic in Christianity. You know, the demons are associated with fallen angels who fall to earth in the lower regions, and they all work for Satan, and they work against humanity.
Right.
But the ancient non-Christian views of demons were much broader and incorporated all kinds of entities of all kinds of temperaments and persuasions, like we were talking about earlier, you know, the mix of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I wouldn't call the Nephilim demons, but they were supposed to all be killed in the flood. But then there are references post-flood in the Old Testament to giants, and that not all the Nephilim did perish, that some of them did survive and they went and hid away. So these references are rather vague, and if that is so, then they would have continued to have a mark in the physical world on the planet. So definitely some fresh perspectives are needed in our ancient alien history. The Djinn should be factored into that in terms of were they players in certain scenarios. We can see their footprints in many, many places, and one of the things I did in the Djinn connection is I wanted to pull as many of these together as possible. So I did look at some of the dominant stories from our ancient alien past, and one can find the traits of Djinn in all of these entities. Djinn would be have an interest in genetic manipulation, in using human beings as a workforce, in manipulating them, perhaps even setting themselves up as deities. And there are just all kinds of avenues awaiting further exploration in these regards.
Okay, so the thing is, what my viewers want to know is that have you ever had any contact with any sorts of these beings, ever? Any attacks, anything going on? When you turn a spotlight on the Djinn look back and they don't like it. And so, yes, I have had many encounters with Djinn.
and most of them have come in the course of my casework. One of the things that I've started specializing in about a decade or so ago was what I call persistent negative hauntings. Problems in a household or with people or on the land that never go away no matter what you do, no matter what exorcism you do, what religion you employ to do the exorcism, what prophylactic measures you take, the problems don't go away. And it's as though something is bound and determined to keep pestering people. And so in the course of investigating these kinds of cases, I've had various encounters with them. And there is some blowback from that. Things start happening, anywhere from mildly annoying to problematic. And they can affect people's health, their finances, your thoughts. They can have quite an impact. And fortunately, I haven't not had, my life brought to rack and ruin, but I have had issues. And this happens to everybody that I have come into contact with who has attempted to do research on these beings. They do not want to be analyzed. They don't want to be understood, discovered, followed, tracked. They prefer to operate literally in the shadows.
When these beings appear, are they like spirits, or can we actually physically touch them? Can they materialize into physicality?
I have not had experiences like that myself, but I have interviewed people who have. And for example, in the Djinn connection, I tell the story of a man from Ohio that I met who had a sexual relationship with Djinn. And it was he felt that it was a major factor in his inability to have other relationships. In Middle Eastern folklore, it is possible to even marry a Djinn so that you would have a Djinn spouse and a human spouse. And the Djinn are known to be quite jealous and to be very temperamental if they feel that they're not getting the favors they should. And I think that these folklore accounts, yes, folklore gets elaborated over time and embroidered, many of the stories do, but folklore has a basis in people's real experiences. This is how folklore arrives. It arrives out of our real experiences. And when people have had relationships like that with the companion Djinn entities, or with some sort of a sexual angle, there is corporeality, there's physicality, and this is very real to those people. I also think that when Djinn shapeshift to pass themselves off in human society, they have that aspect as well, and this is how they stay disguised. Many times they're just presences. They're invisible, but they make themselves known and felt. They can be heard. They will make noises. They can manifest voices, either in your head or disembodied voices in the air. And they can appear as, these shadow forms as well.
So, like, when people have sex with them, isn't this what we call the succubus and incubus?
That would be the Christian explanation for it. And many of these things overlap,
Yeah.
People ask, well, what is the difference between a demon and Djinn, an incubus or Djinn, that sort of thing. And many of these distinctions are very subjective. They come out of certain religious and cultural conditionings. And we may be really talking about the same thing,
right,
just from different subjective angles and different terminology. So that would be one way of looking at it, as an incubus or a succubus, which in the Western perspective is a demonic entity that has sexual intercourse with human beings for the purpose of tainting the soul, getting people turned away from the path to God. Whereas in other folklore, for example, in fairy traditions, there's a long-standing tradition of fairies and humans intermingling, and it's not always bad. Sometimes it's the stories talk about good relationships. The fairy always has the upper hand, but the relationships are rewarding. So nothing in any of these areas involving our entity contact experiences can be put into black and white terms. At best, they're gray. They fall into a very gray area that's tinged with a lot of subjectivity. And it's also kind of constantly morphing. We can't do these neat little pie charts where we can say that, this is an apple over here in this slice, and that's an orange over here. They often blur right together.
How in the world does one get to have sex, like with a Djinn? How do they go about it? Like, it must be some...
Same way people do. If they shape-shift into a human-like form, well, that's what's going to happen.
But how do they appear? Let's say someone wants this to happen. What do they have to do? Do they have to do some kind of enchantments or anything?
Well, some of the people that I've interviewed have somehow created openings in their lives for invasive Djinn to attach to them. So it's not something that they asked for, it was visited upon them. There are many rituals for summoning Djinn for all kinds of purposes, and I have never experimented in those. I do not think it is a good idea.
Right.
Once you open certain doors, it becomes impossible to close them. And I am always recommending to people that they not summon Djinn as well. I have a website devoted to the Djinn. It's called DjinnUniverse.com, and that's spelled with a D. One of the traditional spellings, DJINN, universe.com. And I've had the benefit of people who've had extensive experience with the Djinn, and from studying with the sorcerers as well, comment on the dangers of summoning Djinn. And yet I get email all the time from people who want to, buy a ring on eBay because they think it's going to enable them to summon up a Djinn who's going to do all kinds of favors and bring them all kinds of goodies. These things are never without price, that if you would manage to conjure up such an entity and get some sort of favors from them, there's a price for that. It's no free lunch. And anything that puts a human being at the disadvantage with the Djinn is never going to have a happy ending in the long run.
Aleister Crowley, everybody knows who he is. I'm sure you know who he is. Has he been in contact with Djinns?
In my opinion, yes. And I do have material in the Djinn Connection where I talk about that. When you look at some of his dramatic encounters with very powerful entities, you can see the handiwork that characterizes the Djinn. For example, when he, I think it was his wife first, Rose, who made the contact with Aiwass in Egypt, and then this entity started dictating, the law of Thelema, all of those concepts directly to Crowley, and when this being manifested, he manifested like, he had kind of an Arab guise to it. Well, they were in Egypt, but it was an appearance that had a lot of similarities with some of the descriptions from the Arabian Nights Djinn. And this, it was a relationship of imparting knowledge for the purpose of disseminating information to people and spreading, new ideas, which might be something that the Djinn would be interested in doing. Now, Khorasan, which was another very dramatic encounter that he had in the desert with Victor Newberg, where he was attempting to go up in the ethers to the very highest levels, and he described Khorasan as the demon of the abyss. This was an extremely powerful shape-shifting entity that wound up having a physical tussle with Newberg and left him rather wounded. And then the third one that I looked at was Lamb.
Lamb, yes.
Some people associate with extraterrestrials, and we have this connection between the Djinn and extraterrestrials, and these portals, these interdimensional openings, which some people feel all of this magic punched holes in interdimensional space that are still open for beings like Lamb to come through. So there's some very tantalizing possibilities there, and there's no really one way to interpret any of these experiences. But I find it very interesting that the tracks of the Djinn are very strong in so many different areas, and certainly raises some intriguing questions about how they are approaching human beings for all kinds of interactions.
Can Djinns be killed or die?
Well, according to lore, they have very long lifespans. They're not immortal, but they can live for a very long period of time. And I've heard anything from hundreds of years to thousands of years. So this gives them the ability to be engaged with multi-generational groups of human beings, because many generations of human lives could pass within the course of a single Djinn life. And I've also had information given me that the Djinn are capable of interacting with people even in the afterlife. So, people ask, well, what evidence do we have for any of this? And it's the same evidence we have for all of our spirit engagements. We have the subjective experiences, the real-life testimonials of people. And there are patterns throughout the ages that have the same characteristics and the same encounters, the same characteristics, the same kinds of beings. So it's very good evidence in support of this kind of interaction. Now, there are some researchers who feel that significant numbers of Djinn are interested in staging some kind of takeover of our world, that they lost their dominion of the physical world a long time ago, and that some of them want it back. And then I've talked to others to say, well, no, they really aren't interested in taking anything over, but human beings are very useful to them, and some of them also are just troublemakers and they like to cause problems. So it's probably a mix, just like human beings have a mix of motives and agendas. And the same probably exists in the Djinn realm as well.
Ouija boards. Is that one way to open up a doorway to getting the jinns to come through?
It certainly can, Robert. And when I was working on the book that I did with a friend of mine, Rick Fisher, called Ouija Gone Wild, we examine the negative entities who will come through the board. And I consider the Ouija board to be a neutral tool, like any other spirit communication device. There are so many people, however, who have problems with it. Well, for one thing, it's a device that's proliferated into the millions, so it's very accessible to many people. And it is often used in the wrong way, you know, for provocation or entertainment, or you know, people not taking spirit communication very seriously. However, there are some cases of people having some unexpected, very bad experiences. Now, there's a Ouija board entity who goes by the name of Zozo.
I've heard of him.
Zozo, and then there are variations of that. There's Zaza and Z, and some other Z names, and even Maz, and some other derivatives. And this entity seems to like to hang around the astral region where the Ouija board opens into for a lot of people, and it latches on. If it gets the right target, it latches on and starts out as Mr. Nice Guy, giving very accurate information to gain the trust of someone. And then when it's attached, when it's able to attach to the environment and to the person, then it really turns the tables and gets very manipulative and nasty and is able to act out in the environment. And this would be a behavior pattern associated with negative Djinn encounters, too. So is Zozo a Djinn? Zozo certainly could be. Whether you call Zozo a demon or Djinn, it's a negative entity that has the express purpose of inveigling its way into a human environment and wreaking havoc. And there have been some people who've had a very difficult time cutting loose from this kind of situation. Now, on the flip side of things, there are people who use the Ouija board for very positive communication. You know, the Ouija board's never been a negative device from the get-go. You know, it was devised as basically an entertainment thing back in the late 19th century when spirit communications were all the rage. And it's been Hollywood who really demonized it, and people condemning it. You know, there's a popular mindset now that the Ouija board is demonic, and that's simply not true. It's a device, and people can have either good experiences or bad experiences, or no experiences at all. And I've been involved in many Ouija board sessions, which were just as interesting as spirit box sessions involving benign communicators. And I've interviewed other researchers who've used the board that way as well. I don't think we're ever going to get past the demonic taint that has fallen on it. Hollywood's going to keep reinforcing that. We just had a movie come out a few months ago where, you know, demonic forces, you know, wreak havoc via the Ouija board. And those sorts of things take hold in the popular mindset, and I think they're very, very deeply entrenched now.
Is there a connection between, what do you call them, reptilians and the Djinn?
The what and the Djinn?
Reptilians.
Oh, the reptilians.
The lizard people.
Yes, I did look at that in the Djinn connection. And I didn't go into conspiracy angles in a major way because it's such a deep area and so very murky. but you can certainly see the presence of the Djinn there. For one thing, since ancient times, one of their favorite forms is the snake. It's reptilian. And when you have the connection to the ETs as well, there are reptilians among those encounters. And also part of the reptilian mythology involves races of them who live below the surface of the earth. Well, that could be interdimensionally, but it would fit the story of the Djinn, because when the Djinn lose their dominance to human people, they withdraw into remote areas. They withdraw into remote areas of the landscape. And in modern terms, like the fairies, it would be going underground or going into another dimension that could be symbolized by the underground, the inner earth. So there's a very intriguing connection there as well.
Do you think the global elite have reptilians among them, or it's something that you haven't researched much into it because it's kind of conspiratorial?
Well, the idea that reptilians are involved in conspiracies of control and with the Illuminati, it has the argument has merit to it, because if we have these factions of Djinn who are interested in reasserting domination in the planet and manipulating people, they would of course want to infiltrate some sort of power structure or hierarchy that would enable them to do that. So it would fit certain conspiracy theories and scenarios.
It's what about Men in Black? Does that have to do just with aliens, or the Djinn could also be Men in Black? Because that's something that people ask me all the time.
Yes, they could, and that was something else that I looked at in the Djinn connection. And here again, you have this interplay of phenomena. You have the form that's very similar to shadow people. Now, shadow people look like Men in Black, only they're just solid silhouettes. And they have a purpose of harassing people. They do it in different ways, but it's the same thing, that they have the ability to perpetrate paranormal phenomena and to visit people at will, to enter into their thoughts, create paranoia. And then there's the ET connection, because the Men in Black often are associated with ET activity and pester the contactees. And it could just be another aspect of the Djinn involvement in this whole ET scenario. They could play multiple roles of being shadow people, of participating in the abductions, and then participating in the harassment of the contactees and the abductees. I found when I looked at the abduction literature, because my thought was that, well, if the Djinn are involved in abductions, we're going to find their footprints in the literature that's already been written. And I found that to be the case. In fact, it was like picking pebbles up off a beach. There were so many references that were very descriptive of Djinn, but nobody called them Djinn, mainly because they've just been below our radar in the West. Nobody thinks to ask about the Djinn. And we find the abductees being plagued by shadow people visits. And the shadow people visits will often come before an abduction and then after an abduction. Or the shadow people will be part of ongoing phenomena in the household of abductees. So it's the web of tracks are very compelling for the presence of Djinn.
Are shadow people the same thing as the, what do you call it, the Hat Man?
Yes, the Hat Man. That's another name for them. And that's because they often look like men wearing coats or capes and hats. And the most common hat is kind of a detective-style hat, like the old comic book characters, Dick Tracy. But they've also been described as Victorian stovepipes, cowboy hats, floppy hats. Why does an entity need to wear a hat? And an out-of-fashion hat at that?
Yeah.
I mean, is it a joke, or is it reason? And our hats, you know, does it make the figure more terrifying with a hat? Well, it does sort of add to the mass of this huge silhouetted form that shows up. But my theory is that the hat manifestation covers up some sort of imperfection in the shape of the head that the Djinn can't quite get right in that shape-shifted form. When these entities don't have hats on, their head often looks rather strange. It's misshapen or rumply or out of proportion to the figure. And so that may be some sort of graphic design correction of theirs.
With only a few minutes left, I want to ask, could the Djinns have kids? Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the black-eyed kids. Could that be their children, or is the black-eyed kids something different?
Well, that's two different questions. And yes, in Djinn lore, the Djinn have families just like we do.
Okay.
And they're organized into societies like us. I have looked at the black-eyed kids. I consider them to be another manifestation that Djinn would be likely to take. You know, the phenomenon, and that's with a capital P, whatever it is that these entities, these interfering entities, do in regards to human beings. It's always coming up with new forms. You know, we had dark fairies and devil-like creatures.
Leprechauns.
And we got the shadow people, we've got ETs. And now we have black-eyed kids. So could be a way of distracting us. You know, here's something else on the scene for us to wonder about. But black-eyed kid children, and black-eyed, call them black-eyed people now because people are seeing black-eyed adults.
Really? Adults now?
Oh, yes. This is a phenomenon that's been on the rise since, the 80s, when a lot of these cases started, making the rounds.
So before we end the show, would you like to tell us, because we're based our show in Montreal, and as I understand, you've been in Montreal.
I have, yes.
How long ago was this?
I've been in Montreal several times and had a fabulous mystical experience at St. Joseph's Oratory at the Black Coffin of Frère André. And saints are very powerful intercessors, and you can connect with their energy when you visit a shrine like that. It's an absolutely wonderful place. I understand you've been there recently too.
Oh yeah, I was there a couple of weeks ago, but I never touched I saw like the casket, but I never touched it. My friends did touch the casket, but I said maybe this is all like, you know, it's not true or whatever, but. Apparently he healed, like when he was alive. Can he still heal?
Well, that's the communion of saints, that yes, they have the ability from the afterlife, in Catholic terms from heaven, to connect people to this tremendous healing power which comes from the source or the Godhead. And that's what makes them a saint, actually, is to be able to heal from the afterlife. Frère André had an amazing track record during his life for such a humble man. People go there, I think they get a couple million visitors a year, people from all over the world who come to pray to him, to intercede for them for healing purposes.
Oh, really? So when have you been in Montreal the last time?
Well, it was in the late 1990s.
Oh, okay. A while ago.
it was a while ago, and just today, in fact, I got an invitation to come and speak at a conference in Montreal in August. I'm still working out the details, so I can't say for sure that it's going to pan out. But I thought that was rather synchronistic, since you and I have been talking about my visit to Montreal in the past few days, and lo and behold, I'm there later this year. I'll be in Toronto in April.
Okay.
At Richard Styrett's conspiracy event.
Ooh.
And looking forward to that as well.
Oh, yeah, synchronicity. You'd have to let me know in August, because I'd love to come down and see where you would be. And do you know what you'd be talking about, or where it is in Montreal, or the details aren't out yet?
It's the International Institute for Integral Human Sciences, and we'll be at a hotel in Montreal.
Right.
This is an organization that it's a wonderful spiritual organization, and I presented and taught there in the past. And they have an annual conference. It's going to be from, I think, August 12th through the 23rd, or 14th through the 23rd. So I'm trying to work out some details with them to make it happen, and I hope that I do. The theme is usually oriented around advancement of spiritual consciousness and the interface between the spiritual realms and the physical realms. So if it all comes to pass, I haven't set on a topic yet. That would be something else that would have to work out. But I will certainly keep you informed.
Definitely, for sure. And where can we buy your books? Are they available at Amazon.com?
Yes, they are. And almost everything I've written is available in ebook format, too. And those are also available on Nook, Kobo, and iTunes. And I do have some of my most requested books on my shop and my website, which is visionaryliving.com. And those are autographed copies. But otherwise, Amazon, they're readily available on Amazon.
Because I'd sure like to get your books on the Djinn. Is that the one that talks about ETs and black-eyed kids and all that stuff? Is that the book?
Yes, it's called The Djinn Connection.
Okay.
And that has been very well received by people around the world since it came out almost 2 years ago now.
And so you've written over 60 books.
Yes, I have, on quite a range of topics. And, you know, like I was mentioning at the start of the show, all of these things are interconnected. And I have a background as a journalist, so I'm curious about everything. And I like to see how everything fits together. So I've never really limited myself to any one narrow field. I prefer to cast a very broad net. So I like to say that my books fall between A and Z, angels to zombies, and everything in between.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense. Before I let you go, are you working on any new books?
Yes, I am working on new projects involving spirit communications in the afterlife, and a new book on angels, and psychic protection and psychic development. I get a lot of requests for both of those topics, and I'd like to do a guidebook to help people.
All right, then. So I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. It was great having you, even though we had a bit of trouble coming on the show, but it's been great having you. We'd love to have you back on at some time in the future.
Yes, of course, Robert, and thank you for working to resolve our problems. These sorts of technical difficulties often happen when the Djinn are the major topic of conversation, and I'm glad we were finally able to get it rolling.
Exactly, for sure. So, all right, so you have a good night, and we'll talk again very soon, and once the show's recorded, I'll send you the link to it, because it'll be on YouTube, the show.
Okay, that would be great, and I will put that in my newsletter.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, Robert.
Good night. Bye.
Yeah.
Well, that was a wonderful show, wasn't it?
Definitely. I'm happy we had her on. I hope she comes back on another time, and I hope people out there enjoy the show, because it was a great show.
And I do hope that we get to meet her when she comes to Montreal. That would be something spectacular to be able to meet her.
Oh, definitely. We'd like that.
Exactly. So that ends the show for this week, and we hope that you enjoyed the show about the Djinns, the Djinn connection, and our guest that we had on tonight. She was wonderful. And we'll see you next week on the MnRTV live show. Have a good night, everybody. God bless you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. Bye, everyone, and see you next week. Bye.